Hey guys, thanks for joining us again here at GP. This is Kitch, I'm Chris. Today we're going to take a look at the Benchmade 940 because we really want to talk about its legendary staying power in the industry. It's seen a lot of different variations, some limited editions over the years. Pretty cool, and we're just going to dive into that today.
All right, guys, we're going to start out with the OG 940. Warren Osborne designed this guy, came out in 2000, 23 years, pretty long time. Debuted at Blade Show, and it's pretty much stuck around ever since. And I think that kind of the only thing that's changed so far has been the clip. I think that they originally, for a period of time, they went to like a painted clip instead of this parkerized clip.
Yeah.
But other than that, this knife has been basically unchanged for 23 years, which is outstanding.
Yeah, for sure. And I know when it comes to knives, like aluminum is always like, people are kind of scared, but for whatever reason, people have felt really confident with this 940. It's thick aluminum. It's got these inset liners because of the axis lock, like it needs those liners. So it feels really comfortable in hand. That aluminum has an awesome feel to it. Mm-hmm. You know, it's grippy. It's not slick or anything like that. It's real smooth operating. And take a look at the blade. Yeah. I mean, it was unique, I think, when it came out. That reverse taunt.
That's definitely, like, if you say Benchmade Osbourne, he designed a bunch of knives for him. This is the one everybody thinks about because of that blade shape.
Sure.
Got a little bit of belly, a lot of straight edge for cutting, and a pretty good point.
Right.
Still probably one of the better blade shapes that they've put into a knife, I think.
Sure. I think so too. And you've seen a lot of other brands bring out a reverse tonneau because it is so cool. Mm-hmm. Like, it really is. And this is just a knife that you hear about guys like having for a long time. You know, you think of like Chris Reeve or something like that, but they're like, man, I've had my 940 for like 8 years. Yeah. And they beat the heck out of it, you know? And it's like, man, this thing lasts. It's easy to sharpen. It's like a knife that they can really count on. So this has some interesting design cues to it. So it's almost got this like faux bolster looking to it to give kind of like a classic look to it as well. And these lines on it are pretty cool too. So what they brought it together with was this titanium backspacer. So they wanted to keep this design really light. So it's like sub 3 ounces. They're like, hey, we're going to make a knife that everyone can carry with a lot of blade to it still, but like it's light as a feather. You don't even notice it in your pocket. And how do we bring it together with a titanium backspacer, which is pretty cool. And they're like, what do we accent it with? Purple. And you're like, I don't know if it's for everybody, but you really take a look at it and you're like, wow, I kind of like that.
Well, in 2000, every knife was gray or black. So splash of color. And then speaking of just guys carrying these things forever, like in the shop, probably once or twice a week, somebody has a 940. Right. And some of them are really old and beat up. And they're basically just silver. Right.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, for sure. And this thing's just really cool because it's just such a nice construction. I just like the way it looks. And it's, like I said, it's taken so many different iterations over the years. It's even moved. So I think they kind of got away from that backspacer a little bit and they wanted to get into like barrel spacers, a more open construction, a little bit easier to clean. So they moved into this Black G10 with the green tube spacers in it, which is pretty cool. You got the same steel here, but a little bit different feel, you know?
Definitely feels a little bit more warm in the hand.
Yeah, exactly.
I like the addition of the barrel spacers. I'm not a huge closed off knife guy. I like to be able to just spray it out with compressed air. Right. And then also they still kept kind of like that 940 green little splash.
I know, it's almost
color.
Like they took an homage to that for the backspacers.
Pretty much. Yeah. Also, I mean, to me the G10 one always feels smoother than the aluminum. I don't know if that's, they're always more flippy, a little bit more smooth. Same clip. Using S30V throughout the main line was a good idea. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, even like the 945 and stuff that we'll get into in the autos, they kind of kept the same blade steel. This one's a little bit different. We'll get into that in a second. But I think that keeping it all uniform except for handle materials, really cool idea.
Sure.
If you look at most companies, they're going to switch the steel and the handle material. Stuff's going to get a little bit different in the line.
Definitely. And I think a lot of people were calling for a different material on that handle. Like I said, aluminum is not for everybody. And I think they recognize that somewhere down the line, and they're like, let's try something a little different. And this thing was, this was so hot when it first came out. It was a huge deal. So they were like, how do we make it lighter? Can we make it lighter? And what they did was they added carbon fiber, which is pretty cool. I think they took they went from 2.9 ounces to 2.4 ounces on the carbon fiber. Super lightweight. And they made it kind of its own thing. They're like, it's kind of classy with carbon fiber too. They lightened it, but it's also classy. Let's upgrade the blade steel. So here's where we're talking, hey, we're going to do a little blade steel. So they moved up to S90V, which, as you know, is super edge retention. less sharpening for, I guess, a lot of guys. And they did a really cool tumbled finish on that blade, which is really neat.
Yeah, the stonewash really kind of sets that off.
Right, and you don't see that in the rest of the family, really.
Yeah, I think that, so the idea, I think that the 940 kind of started off, I think at the beginning it was like a touch, like tactical folder.
Sure.
And then as guys started to use it, they're like, wow, this blade shape is really good for just everyday cutting tasks. So S30V holds a really good edge. It's easy to sharpen.
Yep.
S90 holds an excellent edge.
Right.
It's not so easy to sharpen, but there's always trade-offs to edge retention.
Sure.
It's pretty tough too. So this was kind of the idea of the ultimate EDC 940. Super lightweight, still get a cool splash of like blue color in there. And
It's
then
like a
you
Benchmade pop of color in
yeah,
there.
that's like, it looks just like the blue box.
Yeah.
And then you get awesome edge retention steel too. So you can use it, work it. It's like the ultimate EDC 940.
Right. They totally classed up the model, and just how lightweight it is just unbelievable.
Really hit the nail on the head on that one.
For sure. I think they did minis next. You want to do the minis? Yeah.
Go to the minis.
So if you do the minis, so I remember when this came out and we're like, oh man, it's like exactly like the big one, but it's not. They did the open barrel spacers on this one. So they kind of got away from the titanium back spacer there, and which is cool. I think it's really nice. It's still purple. You can still see the purple on there, and it's a great size. It's a great mini-me.
Yeah, I don't know if this is why they did it. This is pure speculation. But smaller knife, guys might tend to drop it into their pocket and not use the clip.
Sure.
You also get a split arrow clip on this guy instead of the like classic Benchmade clip.
Sure.
But I think that with like that knife, it's not open, can't just blow it out. This guy, if you do just drop it in your pocket, or maybe you like carry it sticking out of your watch pocket or something, you can just kind of blow that out of there. And then they kept it purple, like the original, which is still pretty cool.
Right. It stays tried and true to its original design, which is really neat. And for being smaller, I mean, you still have a good amount of blade there.
Yeah, you get a lot of blade, and you get like a pretty good handle. I don't have like the biggest hands in the world, but I do kind of have wide palms, and it still full 4-finger grip.
Sure.
I can get my thumb on there.
Right.
You can even choke up on it a little bit. It's pretty hard to beat as far as EDC size.
Let's see those comparison there. Yeah. I mean, you can tell it's a mini, but man, you still get a lot of blade on even the small one.
Yeah, and they kept all the same aesthetic cues. You got the same like swedge to the clip, all kinds of stuff.
You got that reverse tonneau that everybody knows and loves. So they also did like, basically they wanted to go, hey, we're going to do like the G10 version, but let's change it a little bit. Like let's change that big G10 version and let's coat the blade, which is pretty neat. So it's kind of got this more tactical vibe to it. Coated the blade. They got that split arrow clip there. It goes to blue. It does the blue backspacers kind of like that carbon fiber one, but man, check out those liners.
Yeah.
Like that's where it pops for me.
That's probably the coolest looking part of the knife.
Right.
For sure.
I love it.
It almost makes me wish that they would have done purple on the green.
Yeah.
But I do like that. I like the coated blade too. And then also I like Warren's like maker's mark is a boomerang.
Yeah.
And it just looks pretty cool. And you can really see it. It stands out really good on the black blade.
Yeah, super cool.
And then it feels like the hand feel of G10 is so much different than aluminum. So I prefer like a synthetic material compared to a metal.
Sure,
but
sure.
I like it quite a bit. It's very nice.
I wonder if is that handle like a little bit, the handle might be a little thicker too because of the liners in the G10. This one might be a little thinner.
Yeah.
Than that could add to that like my more foot-filling grip to it. Instead of just being this kind of like flat, aluminum compared to the G10. So that's pretty cool. I really like the minis. I like the full size. And then sometimes Benchmade goes way off the reservation and they're like, let's go to these limited edition gold class models that, collectors love for sure. And it's kind of neat because they're like, okay, we've always made like a faux bolster. Let's put actual bolsters on here. So you've got this like cool Arctic fat carbon on here. And you've got these actual blue aluminum bolsters, which is pretty neat. And they're always for that pop of color in the back there. It's like this 24 karat gold colored plated thing. So it's pretty neat. It looks cool. And it's also got Damasteel, which if you're into those pattern steels, it's pretty cool.
Yeah, the Damasteel is really awesome. I really like that they did the thumb studs in the same color as the bolsters. And then, of course, the gold. That's pretty cool. And it's kind of like a floating backspacer, too. You can kind of see down both sides of it. I thought that was
it's almost like it's got a similar texture to the original, like an homage to that.
Yep.
But then they put these spacers in there for floating. It's
it looks very similar, but I guess since these handle scales are going to be carbon fiber instead of aluminum, and then also same thing. You carry this knife, which if you're going to carry a gold class Benchmade, should probably take care of it still.
Yep.
Make sure you clean it out. blow it out, stuff like that.
But I mean, you could definitely use that knife. I mean, that is definitely
100%.
100% use that knife.
As you should. If you're going to spend this much money on a pocket knife, you should at least carry it from time to time and, don't slam it through a cinder block or anything. But
right.
At least use it.
For sure. Yeah, I like their collector series knives. They're great. They come around. They're like maybe yearly sometimes, and you got to kind of get them when you can.
Yeah.
So definitely cool.
They do some really neat stuff with the gold class. I really kind of want to see what the next one is. All right, Chris, let's take a look at the 9400 because it's pretty interesting.
Definitely.
So, obviously, looking at it, it looks exactly like a 940. You get less hardware on it because you don't have an access lock.
Right.
You get instead pretty snappy button-fired automatic.
Very nice.
Has a safety on the back so you can lock it open or close.
Oh, cool.
Other than that, everything else is basically exactly the same as the 940. It's the same dimensions. You get the same blade steel. Obviously, you lose thumb studs, which actually might help, like cutting cardboard, because they won't get caught up on anything.
Nothing get caught on.
But
how about that backspacer?
Exactly the same.
Same. Yeah, that's amazing.
Thing. Yep. Purple.
I can't believe how closely it is to like the thickness. Like you would think it would be much thicker than that, but I bet it carries very similar.
Yeah, I'm sure it feels probably almost exactly the same in the pocket. Obviously, you're going to get a little bit more weight, but other than that, it's basically just a 940 that goes bang.
Yeah, that's pretty sweet.
The cool thing, the thing that I remember being kind of like a point of contention among like 940 fans whenever it came out is they wanted an access lock auto because Benchmade does those and a lot of stuff. And I think that it was too thin of a piece of
like there wasn't enough room.
They couldn't fit it in there somehow. So you get a button lock instead. But to be honest, I kind of prefer that anyway because they're easier to close one-handed.
Sure.
So that's no big deal to me.
So they've got the normal like satin stonewash, and then they also do kind of a tactical, but they kept it green instead of going all black.
Kind of neat to see you still get the same purple backspacer,
Yep.
Same clip, same everything. Even the button's still satin. So
Yeah.
It's a really neat kind of tactical version of the 940.
Man, so this is just, it's such a legendary model. Like it's amazing how far it's come in 23 years. It's just amazing. That's why we want to take a look at it today because I mean, so many people will have one and it just continues to sell over the years. People love them. And I love the different iterations of them. I mean, we've touched on a lot of the, you get a little different steel or you get a different handle material. And then they even make these limited edition ones. I think they made a titanium one year. I don't know if you remember that.
They made one for the 20th anniversary. Remember that? It had the bug out clip on it.
Super cool, right?
It was red. I think it was M390.
Yeah.
The thing was pretty sweet.
Definitely.
Yeah, we have a couple guys that come in and they buy all the 940s.
Right.
They buy them all, and then any gold class that comes out, they're hunting those too.
Yeah,
so they've been super popular from the beginning, and I don't think it's probably going to slow down anytime.
No. I mean, talk about staying power. You definitely get that in the Benchmade 940 family. USA made. The ambidextrous is great. I mean, everyone can use them. You can flip the clip.
Yep.
That access lock is great. It's all good.
All right, guys. Thanks for joining us today. It's fun looking at all these different 940s. Make sure that you like and subscribe. Check out the links down below. And make sure you comment. Let us know how many 940s you have. If there were any that we missed that you have, some of the older gold class stuff. We'd really love to hear about it.
Yep, and all these are available on our website right now, GPKNIVES.com. If you've never even tried a 940, you should because it's been around a while for a reason.
I don't think you'll regret it.
Right.
See you guys.
Thanks, guys.